All right, we're going to read chapters 19 through 21. And just to remind you, we're reading Strangers by Margaret, Peterson, Haddix. The Strangers. Chapter 19, Finn. Finn stopped trying to read at the start of the second paragraph. There must be all third grade words, he thought, at least third grade. Good thing Emma and Chess are older than me and will know what they mean. But Emma and Chess were squinting harder and harder and harder. Is it code? Emma finally asked. Or a cipher? I forgot which is which. One is where each individual letter or number or symbol stands for a different letter. One is where the whole word is replaced by a different word, which you can only figure out if you have the key to the code. Or the cipher. Whichever. Finn could tell that Emma was doing what he did sometimes, where she was so upset she was just talking and talking and talking to keep herself from thinking about how upset she was. If Emma was rambling on like that, she didn't understand either. Chess? Finn whispered, tugging on his brother's arm. Mom wanted us to know about this, Chess said. He swayed a little, but I guess she must not have want us to know yet. Not right now. She thinks a little thing like a code is going to hold us back? Emma asked indignantly. That sounded more like the real Emma. Yeah, Finn said. He reached up and patted Emma's head. That gave him confidence again. There was a brilliant brain underneath all of Emma's bushy hair, even though I know something about codes. We talked about this at school. You always look for the E's. You mean you look for the most common symbol or letter in the code. You can assume that the symbol stands for E because E is the most common letter in the English language, Emma corrected. And then you can work through the other common letters, S, T, R, which we could always look up, then use all the letters in order. Finn was pretty sure that Emma was a genius. Maybe Chess was too. For all Finn knew, Natalie also might have an IQ that was as huge as her house. He felt better already. So what do you think the first word is? He asked, pointing at the screen. Finn, this might take a little while, Chess said faintly. He stared at the screen and Emma stared at the screen as well. Finn looked back to see what Natalie was doing. She was staring at her phone. I bet they're code breaker apps, Natalie said, her fingers flying to the surface of her phone. We could plug in the whole letter to some special site and then... Do we really want Mom's letter floating around on the internet? Chess asked. Then he looked back at Natalie too, and it was like the big kids were talking without even using words. Usually Finn hated feeling left out and too young, but now he wanted to cheer. Hooray, the three of us are going to take care of everything. We're even better than grown-ups. Natalie stopped typing on her phone. Oh, maybe not, she said. I guess we need to know what the letter says before we know if it's safe to use the internet to solve it. That doesn't make any sense, Finn said. He hoped the three would laugh. They didn't. Emma and Chess went back to staring at the computer screen. Natalie shoved in beside them and knocked Finn away, putting him at the wrong angle even to see the screen. I want to help too, Finn said, pushing against Emma, which knocked her against Natalie. Hey, Natalie said, I'm trying to focus here. Chess looked down at Finn with a very Chess-like expression. Only Mom and Chess had ever looked at Finn that way, as though they really saw him, and understood that even though Finn could be loud and noisy and silly, he wasn't just loud and noisy and silly. In fact, Finn was sure that he had a quiet, still, serious part inside himself somewhere. Maybe only Mom and Chess could see it. And now with Mom gone... Finn, maybe we should take turns working on this code, Chess said. Emma and I will start up, and you and Natalie can look at Mom's work computer. So if there's anything strange on there... But that's just voices and stuff like that, Finn complained. Voices? Natalie asked. Invoices, Chess corrected. The bills she sends to her clients. Mom said she was going to Chicago. Maybe you can find out which client she has in Chicago. Oh, that's a good idea. Natalie was using her fake voice again. The one that made Finn feel like she thought he was stupid. That's not as important as the letter, Finn protested. You're just trying to shove me away, get rid of me. That was what Finn wanted to say. But then Emma reached down and squeezed his hand twice, before giving him a nudge in the side as she looked up at Natalie with narrowed eyes. And Finn understood. Emma and Chess aren't trying to get rid of me, Finn thought. They're trying to get rid of Natalie. Finn felt like a genius himself. Oh, all right, he said resignedly, as if he were still a little angry. Natalie squeezed her lips together like she was angry too, but she moved over beside Finn and clicked the touchpad a few times. Your mom has 10 customers in Illinois, she said, as a grid appeared on the screen. What do you bet all those cities on that list are suburbs of Chicago? I think I've heard of Evanston before. Buffalo Grove, Northbrook, Elmhurst, Wheaton. How am I supposed to know, Finn said. I've never been to Chicago. Natalie let the cursor hover over the list of cities. A moment passed, and Natalie wasn't even looking at the list now. She had her neck craned to look at the code on the computer screen in front of Emma and Chess. Maybe we should look at the websites Mom made for all those clients, Finn said. You'll have to help me. Mom never lets me use this computer by myself because she's scared I'll mess things up. Was that too obvious? Natalie sighed and clicked on the link at the far right side of the grid. A website came up advertising a landscaping company. Finn scrolled through pictures of perfect yards, the kind of grown-ups had when they didn't have kids. None of them looked like very good places to play. Natalie gazed back at Emma and Chess's computer again. That's the logo my mom uses on all her websites, Finn said, pointing to a tiny purple butterfly at the bottom of the page. She likes butterflies because, what's the reason, Emma? Rebirth, Emma said absently. She didn't take her eyes off her own computer screen. Metamorphosis, second chances. Yeah, Finn said. She says it's not just because they're pretty. Huh, Natalie said. What did Finn have to do to get Natalie's attention? He clicked out of the website and tried one for a bakery. Oh, look, don't these pictures make you want a donut? What kind do you think they are, Natalie? Maple bacon? That's my favorite. If someone wanted to distract Finn, food was always a good topic. Maybe Natalie was the same way. But Natalie barely flicked her eyes towards the donut pictures before turning back towards Emma and Chess's computer. And see, here's my mom's butterfly logo again, Finn said, reaching the bottom of the bakery homepage. She made this one a little bit more blue, and it wasn't at all the same butterfly logo as the landscape page. But Mom had done both of these websites, hadn't she? Had she changed her logo and not told the kids? It was hardly the same as going off on a business trip, then setting up an automatic text to arrive a week later saying she was never coming back. That was just unbelievable in connection with Mom. But usually she was predictable, that even changing her logo seemed strange. Finn clicked back to the landscaper site. He zoomed in on both butterfly images. It wasn't just the color that was different, so were the number and patterns of dots. The shape of the wings. Finn made copies of both of the butterfly logos, pasted them into a new document. He began opening other websites one after the other, where they were for businesses in Illinois or not. He copied and pasted every new butterfly logo he found into his own document. Finally, when the variations just started repeating again and again, he stopped. He went back to the screen holding every single version he'd found. 7 different kinds of butterflies. Each one a different color. He zoomed in as close as he could on each butterfly without making everything go blurry. The dots on the butterfly wings weren't in just different places on each logo. They also contained patterns of their own, intricately drawn lines and angles. Why go to the bother of drawing lines and angles inside of a dot if those patterns weren't going to show up unless you enlarge the dot again and again and again? Suddenly, Finn knew why. He tugged on Emma's arm. Everyone, look, he shouted. I think this is a code too. Emma was stuck. She was used to knowing answers instantly. She got in trouble for that sometimes in math class when the teacher would say, Emma, honey, you have to show your work. And Emma would say, the work was, I looked at the problem and I knew the answer. How am I supposed to show that? Sometimes teachers told her she shouldn't say that in front of other kids. But the endless streams of numbers and symbols and numbers in Mom's letter made no sense to Emma at all. Not being able to understand made her feel itchy and weird and not like herself. Maybe she was already feeling itchy and weird because of Mom being away and saying she wasn't coming back. Maybe Emma had felt itchy and weird and not like herself ever since she'd come home from school the day before and found out that kids with her and her brother's names and ages had been kidnapped. What if Mom was actually kidnapped? Emma wondered. What if this is actually a ransom note and we're not going to ever be able to rescue Mom because we're never going to be able to figure it out? It was a relief when Emma realized Finn was tugging and tugging and tugging on her arm and shouting, would you listen? You have to look at this. I think it's a code too. And there's not as much to it, so maybe it's easier to figure out. Of course, Finn didn't know anything about codes. Emma had gone through a phase last fall where she checked out a lot of books from the library about codes and code breaking. She hadn't been able to get Finn or Chess to show any interest at all in writing secret messages back and forth in lemon juice, or substituting numbers for letters, or even a mask decoder, which was the simplest thing of all. No one she knew at school was interested either. So it had fallen to Mom to be the one Emma wrote notes to, saying things like HKNUDXNT, and when Mom wrote back JMPWFZPVUPP, Emma had been delighted, knowing they were both saying I love you, using the same kind of code, just going in different directions through the alphabet. Oh. Something amazing occurred to Emma. It was nowhere near as wonderful as figuring out Mom's letter would be, but now she felt all tingly, as well as itchy and weird. Did I start checking out those code books on my own? Or was Mom the first one who picked up a code book and handed it to me and said, I think you would like this? It was hard to remember exactly. Mom took Emma and Chess and Finn to the library a lot. Emma always checked out a huge stack of books, and sometimes she chose her own books. Sometimes Mom or Emma's favorite librarian, Mrs. Quinn, slipped them into her hands saying, what about this one? Sometimes it was even Chess or Finn asking the question. But it seemed like maybe Mom had given Emma the first code book. It seemed like Mom might have said something like, sometimes kids who like math also like codes. Had Mom been preparing Emma? Even way back last fall, had Mom been worried about some danger that was coming? She wanted Emma to be ready for it by learning about codes. Emma didn't just feel tingly now. She felt like her heart was about to pound its way out of the chest. She looked at the array of butterflies Finn had lined up on his computer screen. He enlarged one set of wings after another, showing the patterns hidden inside each dot. How can butterfly drawings be a code? Natalie asked. Something jiggled in Emma's brain, something she'd read in one of those books about codes. The guy who started Boy Scouts, she shouted. He did butterfly codes when he was a spy. Natalie looked at her like she was crazy. Why would he do that? Finn asked. Tell us about it, Chess said quietly. I don't actually remember his name, Emma admitted. Chess reached for Mom's phone and typed in Boy Scout founder, spy, butterflies. Lord Baden-Powell? Chess said. I guess, Emma said with a shrug. Anyway, there's a war going on, and there was about to be a war starting in somewhere. Dalmatia? Chess asked. Wherever that is. Anyhow, this lord guy pretended he was a butterfly collector, roaming around drawing pictures of the butterflies he found. But he was actually hiding spy drawings inside the butterfly pictures. Drawings of all the military fortifications along the coast, so he could help his country's military know what to expect. You think Mom's helping the military? Finn asked, going back to the alternately zooming in and out of Mom's butterfly logos, growing and shrinking the dots and wings. You think these are drawings of forts? Only if forts are built out of sticks, Natalie snickered. How do you know you even have them in the right order? It's like there's every color of the rainbow here. Emma felt tingly all over again. Natalie, you're brilliant, Emma said, actually throwing her arms around the older girl's waist as though we were friends, not a total stranger. I bet it is a rainbow. Let's see. Roy G. Biv. Red, orange, yellow. Emma took control of the touchpad on the computer Finn had been using. She moved the butterflies around, starting with a red and finishing with purple, the one that might just as easily be called violet. Chess patted Emma on the back, which felt like he was complimenting her. Finn squealed, "Those are the right colors." "So did your mom like rainbows too?" Natalie asked, making a mocking face. "It's like an inside joke for her and me," Emma said. She was glad that neither Chess nor Finn. "What are you talking about?" Maybe they didn't even remember how disgusted Emma had been by some of the girls in 3rd grade last year, who went around talking about rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and magic. One night, when Emma was complaining at the dinner table, Mom had said very quietly, "Emma, it's possible to like rainbows and unicorns and butterflies and magic and math. Personally, I love it for the world to be full of all those things." After that, rainbows and butterflies had become a code between Mom and Emma. It meant that Emma shouldn't get mad at other kids who didn't like math, and she shouldn't let anyone act like there was something wrong with her because of what she did. Code again, Emma thought. "I still don't get it," Natalie said. "So you put the butterflies in rainbow color order. So what?" "So maybe if we pull all the dots together now," Emma began. She enlarged all the dots from the butterfly wings one by one, until each dot joined with the other one below or beside it. Just as Emma hoped, the mysterious lines inside each dot joined too. It makes a rectangle, Finn shouted, with other shapes inside. Is it a map? Natalie asked. What's it a map of? Emma jerked to attention. Her brain was working quickly again. Mom's office, she said. The boring room. She pointed at one shape after the other. See? There's the desk, there's the bookshelf along with the walls. But what's the star over there? Chess asked. Is this a treasure map where X marks a spot? You were just down there. What's the back of the wall of the boring room? Emma couldn't remember anything there but an empty bookshelf. I don't know if it's a treasure or not, she said slowly, but I'm pretty sure that's where we're supposed to look. 21. Chess. Chess reached for the doorknob of the boring room. It was the next afternoon, and the three Greystone kids had convinced Mrs. Morales that they had to stop by their house to visit Rocket again. Chess had been worthless all day at school. Twice his teachers had called on him. He had so little idea what they asked him that he wasn't sure if they were talking about language arts or social studies, math, or science. Ever since about 10:30 last night, he'd been longing for this moment, dreading it too. He had to force himself to carry through every action. Now wrap your hand around the doorknob. Turn your wrist to the right. Push the door forward. Is it terrible I didn't knock on the door of the boring room again last night? Emma burst out behind him. She and Finn were crowded so close beside him that Chess's elbows knocked against them. Why didn't you lock it? Natalie asked. At least she was a few steps back. I didn't think, Emma wailed. It took a lot to make Emma wail. I had too much else to think about. Why would Mom keep the boring room locked, anyhow? Why would it matter? And we did lock the front door of the house yesterday when we left. That was still locked when we got here today. There aren't any windows broken, so we know nobody could have come in here. Chess flashed his sister a warning look, hoping she'd get the message. Don't talk about scary stuff like people may be breaking into her house. Not around Finn. Don't scare Finn. Or did Chess really want to say, don't scare me? Let's just see what's in this room, Natalie said, and Chess still felt weird about her being a lip gloss girl, or a former lip gloss girl, being in his house and even talking to him, but he liked how steady her voice stayed. He liked she was older than him and knew things he didn't. It made him feel a little bit less like the other Rochester, Rocky in Arizona, who was probably still having to say brave for his little brother and sister, unless they'd been found already. Chess hoped they'd been found already. The door creaked open and Chess reached in and turned on the light. Somebody did come in and steal everything, Natalie cried, peering around. No, this is what the room looked like yesterday, Emma said. Just the same. Mom keeps the boring room empty on purpose, Finn added fiercely. If she had pictures and, toys, it'd be too interesting. She wouldn't get any work done. Oh, Natalie said. But just the one word made Chess see the boring room differently. It was kind of weird how the room looked so abandoned, like someone had moved out everything but the heavy furniture. The room held nothing but the desk, an office chair, and 3 bookcases. Chess couldn't remember the boring room ever looking any different. But why did Mom bother having 3 bookcases in here for just... Chess looked around. 2 books. Chess crossed the room, looked at the 2 books leaning forlorningly against each other, an ancient-looking dictionary and a binder labeled computer manual. Couldn't she just look that up online? Natalie said. Right now at Chess's elbow, the sound of her voice made him jump. Mom doesn't use the internet down here, Finn said, spitting out each word like a bullet. That would keep the boring room from being boring. Why can't you understand that? Didn't you say she designs websites? Natalie asked. Wouldn't she always need the internet? Chess froze. He never thought of that, but it was true. He couldn't think of many parts of Mom's job that didn't require the internet. Once or twice a week, when their internet was down, Mom had to go to work at the library or Starbucks to have Wi-Fi. Chess couldn't look at Natalie. It felt like she was saying Mom was a liar. No, it was worse than that. It felt like she was saying Mom lied about everything, even little things like the picture Mom had given Chess of his dad as a kid, telling him, see this? You look exactly like your father did when he was your age. Same straight nose, same strong jawline, some handsome eyes. This picture proves it. It felt like if Natalie saw the picture, she'd say, "It's so fuzzy. That could be anyone. You probably don't look anything like your dad. You just want to believe the stuff your mom says. Why can't you think for yourself like I do?" But Natalie would never see that picture because it was tucked away in a shoebox on the very top shelf of Chess's closet. It wasn't actually a little thing. Was thinking all this making Chess act strange? Desperately, Chess looked towards Emma for help. Emma didn't even seem to be listening. She was peering intently at the paper they printed out the night before in Mrs. Morales' office, the map of the boring room that came from putting together the butterfly spots. "The spot with an X has to mean something," she muttered, drifting across the room. "And that spot is right about here." Her fingers brushed the wall above one of the empty bookcases. "It's just a blank wall," Finn said. "The map is only two-dimensional," Emma said, "so the actual spot could be anywhere from the ceiling to the floor." "I'll check the floor then," Finn said, rushing over to crouch beside Emma. "I guess the ceiling's mine," Chess managed to mumble. He brushed past Natalie, still without looking at her. To his surprise, she reached out, patted his shoulder, which made him feel slightly better and a lot weirder all at once. The ceiling of the boring room was lower than anywhere else in the room, but even when standing on tiptoes, Chess still couldn't reach the top part of the wall. He pulled the desk chair over, positioned it a little off to the right from where Emma had pointed. "Careful," Natalie said as he stepped up onto the chair. What's wrong with Chess? He really wanted to snarl back at her. "What's it to you? Why do you care? And maybe also, do you care?" He kept his mouth shut, concentrated on reaching his hand towards the ceiling. Then he felt silly brushing his hand against the clear, empty wall. "If there's anything to find here, wouldn't we see it?" he complained. "Not necessarily," Emma said. "Maybe we need a magnifying glass, a microscope. Maybe we need to douse the wall with lemon juice or some other reagent." Chess was not going to ask his little sister in front of Natalie what a reagent was. He hoped that Finn would do it for him, or that Emma would just explain without waiting for anyone to ask. But Natalie spoke next. Guys, I'm not sure how long we have for searching before Mom gets suspicious and starts looking for us. If you think we need a magnifying glass or something, we should get it now." Apparently, Natalie didn't know what it was either, and maybe she was embarrassed about asking too. "I don't know what we need," Emma said impatiently. "Not yet. Can't you call your mom and tell her we need more time with Rocket? Like hours? Tell her he's really sad and missed us. He needs us a lot." "Mom won't leave us alone in here very long," Natalie said. "Not when she thinks..." She glanced at Finn and fell silent. "Not when she thinks there's an angry boyfriend that Mom ran away from, Chess thought. "Not when she thinks there's danger." "I'm not finding anything," Finn complained. Chess looked down. Finn was running his hands again and again in wide circles over the floor and the lowest portion of the bookshelf. Emma had started searching along the two shelves of the bookshelf. Natalie was feeling along the walls immediately above the bookshelf. When Natalie moved her hand to the left, Chess stepped 1 foot into the top of the bookshelf so he could reach farther. But just as Chess sometimes forgot how tall he'd gotten lately, he also sometimes forgot how big his feet were. The rubbery front part of the sneaker jabbed too hard against the wall, bent like clown shoes. He had to dig his toes into the crack between the wall and the bookshelf to keep his balance. And then the bookshelf shifted beneath his foot. It began to swing back away from the wall. "Watch out!" Chess yelled at Natalie, Emma, and Finn. Natalie jumped back, and Chess instantly wished he hadn't. Now there didn't seem to be a way to keep the bookcase from falling over on Emma and Finn. "Catch it!" Chess yelled at Natalie, even as himself fell backward against the chair, which also rolled back. He scrambled to the edge of the seat and held out his hands, hoping he could at least stop the bookcase from hitting his brother and sister quite so hard. The result was that he fell to the floor, so he would also be in the path of the falling bookcase. But the bookcase didn't move the way he expected. It didn't topple straight out of the wall. It moved at a slant, one side swinging out wide while the other tilted towards the corner of the room. Nothing made sense. The side that Chess had stepped on wasn't even the side that separated most from the wall. Or had it actually separated? Had the wall somehow come with it? Tangled up on the floor, Chess couldn't make sense of anything. But as soon as the bookcase stopped moving, Finn popped up, poked his head around the side of the bookcase. There aren't any books on this bookcase because it's not really a bookcase, he cried. It's a secret door. Ha! All right, we'll read more later.